Amanda here from createyourfuture.co. So today I have Traci joining me. Hi, Traci.
Hi, Amanda. Hi, everyone.
So guys, we have a really exciting video. We're going to talk about whether or not to have the relationship talk or not. And we're also going to go through as well what living in the end is and how important it is to actually manifest in steps. And we'll touch a little bit on what messing with the middle is as well. So just before we get started, to let you know that Traci is available for coaching and she has amazing courses out. So guys, definitely check out the link in the description below. If you would like to ask me, Amanda, a question, you can sign up at the Patreon. I do answer them once a month on our YouTube lives. And guys, you know what? We have a contest. We're giving away 3 free coaching sessions. All you need to do to enter is to share the videos, subscribe, and then comment of what you've manifested using the law of attraction, no matter how big or how small, because something that may be small to you may be huge to somebody else, and your comment may actually inspire them and help them to believe that it's possible. So yes, let's get started, Traci. So excited.
Me too. This is a great topic.
It is. As we were talking a little bit earlier before about the relationship talk, it's, if we lived with the assumption, right, that somebody wants to be with us, then we wouldn't have to sit down and go, hey, what's going on? Are we together? Do you want to be with me? So if we're going to have the relationship talk, it's coming from they don't want to be with me. Now, the only time I would ever suggest having a relationship talk is if you want to find out what blocks you've put on them, because they'll tell you. I remember way back when I wanted to move in with Andrew, he told me, I asked him, I said, why don't you want to move in with me? Why don't, we're in a committed relationship. And then he told me everything that I had an issue with, that I thought was, he reflected it all back to me, but that does push people away. So you can't take that information and then sit there and stew on it and ruminate on it. You've got to be constructive with it and write it all down and then write some new intentions to counter those particular blocks, right? So only do it if you're looking to find out what your blocks is, but then you can always just go straight to the end, right?
Yep, exactly. So a lot of times we approach this conversation hoping that we are going to push them into giving us the response that we want. But yeah, exactly. Like you said, if we were under the assumption that this person, of course, this person wants to be with me. Of course, we are in a relationship, even if that hasn't officially been talked about yet, then you wouldn't really be pursuing the conversation. It's sort of, you're actually under the opposite assumption that you're not in a relationship, that they don't want to be with you. And that's why you're pursuing the conversation, and you can pretty much assume that that's what's coming back to you, because it has to be if that's what assumption you are under. So
Exactly. So, when it comes to living in the end or from the end, what we're looking for is what are you going to see, hear, and feel when you're in that end, and then making all your assumptions from that end. So if we're going to have the relationship talk, we're actually living from the end of rejection, right? And if we want to shift that by shifting our assumption, which is our thoughts, right? Law of attraction is your thoughts create. Law of assumption is your assumptions create. They're the same thing. So you shift your assumption and your thoughts to what you actually want and focus on that. And then that need for that relationship talk just floats away, because now you actually focusing on what you want and bringing that into you.
Right. And having so much faith and confidence, knowing that if your desire is to be in a committed relationship with this person, that's what you focus on. That's the end that you live in. And that's what you are creating. That's what you're generating for yourself.
Right. So tell me about manifesting in steps. I know I've heard some people say that it's messing with the middle and it's not actually living in the end. What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely not. So manifesting in steps is so important because, first of all, your goal, your end is always going to be changing. You're always going to be having new desires and creating more for yourself. And so it's really important to manifest in steps, because not only does that build your confidence, but that's just kind of how your desires work. You have one desire, it's here, and then it's going to go and be more in the future. So yeah, it's totally important and necessary and productive to manifest in steps. And it is not messing with the middle. Absolutely not.
No. And you know what? Actually, having the relationship talk is messing with the middle, right? Because your end goal is to be with a relationship with the person. So now you're trying to manipulate the situation. Now you're messing with the middle. Your thoughts that block you. So if it's like, I intend for Jerry to love me, but then I'm like, oh, he never talks to me. There's no communication. That thought is now messing with the middle. Okay. Yeah. Traci's right. Pick an end. I mean, living in the end of when? The last day before you die, your 20th wedding anniversary, the day, that you have a baby, like which your end is always going to fluidly change. Basically, living in the end just means living in the end of what your goal is, your intention. So yes, you can have many different ends as well. You don't even have to have one end. But how I like to look at it is, what are you going to see, hear, and feel when you have what you want? So for instance, manifesting communication, so important, because are you not going to communicate when you're married or you have the relationship you desire? Okay, if you're not wanting to communicate, well, then stop intending it now. This is not something that you actually want. But if you don't have the communication and that's something that you want in your end, then start doing it now. I always like to go, it's like telling someone a story of how you got together, right? Mm-hmm. And that's, and where you got to, and that's your journey, right? And you make all of your assumptions from your end goal. So incredibly important,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And yes, I get this question so many times because I do talk to my clients about manifesting in steps. Usually the end goal is being in a loving, committed relationship. Well, there's usually some steps along the way. And their question is very commonly, but isn't that messing with the middle? So no, it is not. Again, it's so important to go in these steps. And like Amanda said, messing with the middle is focusing on anything that blocks or contradicts your desire. So let's say your desire is for communication. If you focus on the reasons why you don't have it, or you can't have it, or you haven't had it, that is messing with the middle.
Exactly. I don't know who said it, but and this thought's been in my head lately. It's like the only prison we're in is the one that we create for ourselves, So it's so incredibly important to really, focus on and get clear on what you actually want to manifest and what that's going to look like. What are you going to see, hear, and feel? You don't even need to visualize it, but you need to make sure that all of your thoughts are in line with it. Okay. There is no simple, you just got to do this visualization every night and then you can do whatever with your thoughts all day. No, your reality is the sum total of every single one of your thoughts. Okay. And it all shows up, right? And if we don't know how to how we created something, we simply forgot those thoughts or that state of mind that we were in, right? And it's not about, making it a huge deal when something we don't like shows up. It's just about going, wow, I created that. Look how powerful I am. I can change it.
Exactly. It's so not about blame. And you're right. You don't even have to go back and figure out like, what did I do to create this? How did I create this? You really don't have to do that. You just need to accept the responsibility. Okay, I know my thoughts create. I know I must have been focusing on that because I know how creation works. I know nothing is happening to me. I'm doing all of it. So, okay, I did that. Let me get clear on what it is that I now prefer.
Exactly. So, a really good thing, like, for instance, let's say, you have a fight, right, with somebody and you're a specific person, right? Now, your end goal is going to temporarily be basically just getting back together and over that fight, which is totally okay. So then you would focus on things like, okay, well, if I was to tell, say Amanda the story, I'd be like, oh yeah, you know what? He was totally understanding and forgiving and he totally got over it and he knew it wasn't a big deal. So those are the kind of thoughts that you want to focus on, is that resolution that you're going to get. What's the end goal going to be? And to really spend time on that and dwell in it to the point where you actually feel good about it, neutral, right? Rather than, living in anxiety and worry. And it will take a little bit of time. You could even say, well, it could be instant, but you can even say, I intend to feel good. I intend to feel satisfied, because you've got to talk yourself out of your story. How do you know what your story is? You'll feel it. You'll hear it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, such an important point. The way to solve a problem is not to continue focusing on the problem. It's actually to turn your attention and your focus to the solution and dwell there.
Exactly.
And live there. Yeah, live in the end of the solution.
Exactly. And another thing Neville said, and when he was referencing the Bible, it says, and it says it in the Bible as well, if you're weak, say I'm strong. If you're sick, say I'm healthy, right? So acknowledge and just revise it. And it'll also help you to detach as well, because when you're focusing on what you want, you're automatically going to detach from what you don't want, because you're no longer holding those thoughts. Whatever thoughts are up in here, those are the ones that are broadcasting out constantly, right? So you want to make sure that they're what you want to actually focus on. And if you do have negative thoughts, don't beat yourself up. Just move on. Just be like, okay, no big deal. You can even say they're not going to show up if it makes you feel better, but you still need to focus on what you actually want to create. So
yes. Such an important point about the negative thoughts. I find this again with so many of my clients. They worry that, oh no, I had a negative thought, I'm doing it wrong, or I can't do it, and it's like, no, it's okay. That's a normal part of this process. And the more you keep turning away and focusing on your end goal, those negative thoughts are going to dissipate. They're going to melt away. You just have to keep turning your attention to what it is that you prefer, what it is you want to create.
Exactly. And the other thing too, right, is denying something is actually giving it power. And I don't think that this is talked about nearly enough. So I was reading Neville the other day, and he said to deny something's existence is actually bringing it into existence. Okay. So what he means by that is by saying, nope, that didn't happen. That's not there. You're actually saying it's there. So it's not about denying it. It's about shifting your focus onto what you want. Very important when it comes to getting rid of third parties. If you've already created it and it's already given you anxiety, ignoring that it's there is not solving it. You've got to acknowledge it and renounce it. So just like, the Bible says, if you're weak, say I'm strong. Okay. If there's a third party, say they're gone and the person wants to be with you. So because that would be the end goal. It would be like, yeah, you know what? We were dating and you know what? He was dating somebody else, but he totally got rid of her because he wants to be with me. And so that's your story for your end goal, right? So incredibly important. Never deny anything that exists. You just give it more power. You want to renounce it by shifting your thoughts to what you actually want.
Yeah. And you don't have to deny that that it exists, and you just have to accept, even if it's unwanted, you still acknowledge, okay, I did that with my thoughts because I know how powerful I am. I know my thoughts create. Okay, well, that's not what I prefer. I'm going to go and focus on this.
You know what? And so, and I have to chuckle sometimes, so I created something not that great. So a few weeks ago, I was thinking about something. Okay. I was thinking about somebody that told me that they had this like tooth infection, and they told me how they used manifesting to actually clear it up, and they didn't need to go to the doctor or anything. And I was thinking about that just to give myself a bit of inspiration. Okay. Like, come on, you can create. Like, I like to, think about these great things. But the problem was, is all of a sudden, the same person had another infection, but not so. And then I was like, oh, of course, thoughts are things. They go out. What we focus on is going to come back. My point of the story is, and I intend that they're fine. They are fine. Everything was good. But the point of the story is not to make it a big deal. Like, it's okay. And, and it's like, okay, well, I've created that. I'm going to clear it up. It's no big deal. Right. And it wasn't serious. It wasn't anything serious, but that's how powerful we are. So, when we're dwelling and we don't want to be there and we feel uncomfortable land in our head, then that's how our reality starts to show up. And, to start breaking that, if you've been in it for a long time, is you've really got to chip away at all the different, it's not just one intention, do intentions about how you feel, do intentions about how everything comes to you, do intentions about believing in the law of attraction, do intentions that you always see evidence of your reality creating, right? And the most important one is you can change the way you feel. Just say, I feel satisfied. I feel good. I feel happy every day. I feel calm. I'm in control. And you'll actually call those feelings into you and get rid of your anxiety altogether.
Yep, exactly. Using everything as proof of how powerful you are.
Yeah.
Yes, knowing that you can even manifest your state of being. You can manifest anything. You can manifest that you're so good at manifesting. You're so good at feeling good, right? You can literally manifest anything. You just have to intend for it and claim it.
Exactly. So a funny story. So I wasn't feeling so great the last few days, right? And yesterday I basically had enough of it. I was like, I'm not going to be in this prison I'm making for myself anymore. I'm like, I'm done with that. And then, so I said, you know what? I talked to, like, my mom was over and Andrew, and I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm like, I'm going to feel good tomorrow. I'm going to jump out of bed in the morning and I'm going to feel great. And that's exactly what happened today. So, you know, I like to do that. I like to do, like, for instance, if I'm like negatively spiraling or something, I'll be like, okay, I'm going to go for a shower. And when I get out of the shower, everything's going to be fine. All my intentions are going to manifest because it's happening now. So you can use those little bits of, you know, time to distract yourself and to also, you know, say, look, during this time, you know what, I'm going to create this in myself. And all you need to do is declare it, and then not fight with yourself over it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I love that. And to the point of, like, we create our own prison. That's such an important aspect to realize, like, whatever limitations you're perceiving in your reality, they were created by you. They were created by you, and you can choose to perpetuate them or not. Like, it's so powerful to realize again and again that you have a choice. You have a choice. You have a choice.
You know, and the other thing that's really freeing is to not look at things as success or failure or positive or negative. Okay. So, I mean, I'll be honest, me and Andrew have had a fight here and there. Okay. And, you know, I used to think it was like the end of the world and, oh, I've screwed everything up. But now I've taken the perspective of, yeah, you know what? I felt like fighting. I caused a fight that we made up. No big deal. Like, moving on, you know what I mean? Because if I'm going to really be honest with myself, oh yeah, I wanted to fight, obviously, because that's what I created. Or I thought that maybe he was angry and wanted to fight. Right. But the point is to change the perspective of it, you know, and, you know, it's 10 that it makes you closer, but not to give it the meaning of failure, not to give it the meaning of ruining everything. It's no big deal, you know. Besides, everyone's you pushed out, so Andrew thinks he created it anyway. So, like, honestly, right?
I love that. That's funny.
You know, it's just an experience, right? We have our thoughts and then we experience them. And that's all there is to it. The more we don't like our situation and push against it, the more we actually create of it, you know, rather than just laughing it off and being like, yeah, that was a good fight. Okay, well, we won't do that again for another year. That's fine. We're good, you know, and moving on, right? But if we keep dwelling on it and worrying about it, you know, what I always say is, Andrew's over it. He doesn't even care anymore. He'll apologize. Works every single time. Right. So
yeah, I think such an important key aspect too is, like, when you resist the current reality, whether it's a fight, whatever it is, it's like you're forgetting you created that too. If you remember, you created it. And if you remember that, you would probably next think, well, that's no big deal. I created that. That's fun for right now, but I actually prefer when we get along for the most part, you know.
Exactly.
It's not a big deal. You don't have to have this big resistance to a fight or whatever it is that's currently showing up, because you know you created it.
Right, exactly. So guys, you know what? If you are looking for some extra help to find your blocks, get some intentions, or if you want to know if you should have the relationship talk in your situation, definitely check out Coaching with Traci. She is absolutely amazing. Her clients get awesome results and they feel amazing after sessions. As you can tell, she's great to chat with, and it makes you feel good. I always feel good when I talk to you. So I love that. So, thank you so much for joining me today, Traci.
Yeah, thank you. This was fun.
It was. And guys, thank you for liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.
Bye.